Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
Um, doing okay. Stressful day in Canada.
I'll say.
Stressful day. Fairly stressful game, too, at least at the end. We'll get into that. The Oilers lose 4-3 to the Maple Leafs of Toronto.
In regulation.
Bruce, where is my... The grade A shots in this game, which the Oilers lost, were 19 for the Oilers, 14 for the Leafs. The subset of 5 alarm shots were 6-4 for the Leafs. A strange game, interesting game, and you can't win them all. Let's get into it. Two good things, two bad things, two numbers. What's your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the play of Evan Bouchard in this game, David.
Yeah.
I thought he had a little bit of a ragged start, which put him in the company of about 18 other Oilers. I'm going to give backup netminder Calvin Pickard the benefit of the doubt. I said to my wife in the first period, I was reading some of the cascade of finger pointing going on Twitter at some of the usual suspects. And I said, if I wanted to point fingers at culprits, I'd be needing my toes. And I'd be saving my baby toe for the backup goalie in case he ever gets in there, because the whole team started slow and disjointed, and they couldn't make a damn pass. And Toronto, who I knew would come out hot, and they did. And the Oilers weren't ready for him. But Bouchard, from there, I thought he was, frankly, Edmonton's best player, and I wasn't the only one because he was named second star of the game, so somebody else could have shared that opinion. And I just thought he started to flow, He started to move the puck. He started to play more naturally, more fluidly, and he was passing the puck with aplomb. He was shooting it with gusto. And, he played in this game 27 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Most of any Oiler, with 8 shots on net and 16 shot attempts. He scored the goal that got him back, finally got him in the game, and made it 3-1 halfway through the game, and sort of, breathed some life into this thing. Made a real nifty, I thought, breakout pass on the goal that started the second comeback that made it 4-2 that Hyman scored. I know you'll talk a little bit more about that, but the play by Bouchard in his own end was what started that whole thing going. And he was all over me. Like, he hit the post with a minute to go, and then he was absolutely robbed by Joseph Wall, and unquestionably the star of this game, the opposing goalie for the second game in a row. And with like 2 seconds left, was it?
Didn't that hit someone? I think it hit a defenseman, Bruce, in front of the net.
Oh,
if
yeah?
I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. I think
Okay,
that's
I
what it
thought he
said
got
on
it.
the.
Like, I thought he sort of flung himself at it, and then Perry got the rebound and almost whacked it in. Okay,
Blocked by McCabe.
anyway,
According to the official score, that may be incorrect, but it says blocked by McCabe with 2 seconds left.
Okay, well, that's whatever. He was, like, right in the slot, firing away, and Toronto defenders were doing something Edmonton defenders did not do, which was diving in front of shots.
Yeah.
And they blocked a few. Toronto blocked, credited with 24 shot blocks in this game to 7 by Edmonton.
Whoa.
Which could be my number, but I've already used it, so I'll go to something else when number time comes. But
yeah,
Toronto was paying the price defensively to, they're facing an onslaught, and their goalie obviously faced a lot of it, but he was getting some crucial blocks by players. And anyway, I just thought Bush was strong, very strong in this game. In his 18 and a half minutes of even strength, the Oilers had 30 shot attempts to 14. Like, the play was in Toronto's end a large majority of the time. And this is, mind you, playing without his regular partner and leaning post, Matthias Ekholm. Ekholm's absence, I thought, was rippled through the lineup. The whole decor, I thought, felt Ekholm's absence tonight. But you would think that it would affect Bouchard more than anyone, being his partner. And I thought Bouchard was, of the D-men, one of them who, rose above it and had a very strong game. Though he did ice the puck on the power play, though, so I guess we should be running him out of town for that. But I'm not
Some
going
people,
to.
some people don't like Evan Bouchard, Bruce,
No.
and they are quick to jump. Hey, he's
Yeah.
got his fans, though. He's got his people in his
Yeah.
corner. I'm one of them.
Me
Like,
too.
like honestly, Bruce, if I was picking Team Canada, I would pick Evan Bouchard, and I know that's
I would
not a
have picked him.
popular opinion. He's such a
No.
fantastic hockey player, though. He's such a
He's
great
playing
attacking player.
He's playing like he did tonight. You're saying there's 6 Canadians better than him. Anyway, he hasn't been playing enough like that, but tonight he did play like that, and I'm going to make him a good thing because he did. I thought he was a huge factor in Edmonton coming back and being, so close to tying this game up.
His goal. I mean, you fire
shot.
enough shots, you are going to score one. But did he ever drill that? And it was through a screen, and the goalie had,
Right
it's
inside
just
the
going to go
post.
in. And he's just been unlucky not to get a few more of those, frankly. And he might have had some of them tonight because he is such a great shooter. And as you say, he hit the post with a minute left. That pass, my good thing is actually that goal, the 4-2 goal by Zach Hyman. I will say it started with Kulak, actually.
Yeah.
The puck's coming up the ice, Toronto forwards racing after it, and Kulak makes a great hustle play to get body position, win body position on the boards, and win that puck, and make a very nice backhand pass then behind the net to Bouchard, who then makes an exceptional pass on his backhand to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's breaking out. It's into the middle of the ice. It's one of these dangerous passes that you need to make in the NHL now. Can't go up the boards every time. You'll get hemmed in. You got to go up the middle of the ice. And when you do that, sometimes they don't work out. But Bouchard, most often they do, Bruce. He's, he has struggled this year with turnovers. We've talked about that, but not on that one. And he sends Nugent-Hopkins up the ice, who puts it to Zach Hyman. And Zach Hyman does what he does. He takes it hard to the net, towards the net, cuts into the middle of the ice. And Nugent-Hopkins, meanwhile, is steamed up the ice, and he makes a brilliant flying screen. Just as he's going by, Hyman whiffs it, snaps it at net, and it's in the net. It was 4 players making high skill hustle plays, smart plays, and it was a great goal. It was a beautiful goal. And it's the kind of goal the Oilers score with fair regularity because they have such high skill. Made the game 4-2. Bruce, did you know that Kulak was in on 3 goals today at even strength? He screened on the Perry goal. He made that play on this goal, and then he won a battle, and then he set up Bouchard for a shot on the first goal. So good for Brett Kulak. He was a significant player on
2 assists.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
+2. He was Bouchard's partner, and they played most of a good game together.
They just had one bad sequence on Marner's goal, and early in the third, and 3 players were kind of
beat.
Let's give credit where it was due on that one. It's like an Oilers goal. It was an extremely high skill goal by Matthews and Marner. Just 2 incredible hockey players attacking at speed and making outstanding plays. Matthews with the pass, and then Marner cutting in and deking Zach Hyman out of his shorts. And then, Bouchard and Kulak are kind of left reaching because it's hard to cover players like that. And then Marner puts it on that, and kind of the rebound goes in off his foot into the net.
Skinner makes a save, and it hits Marner's skate and goes in, and that was the kind of bounce the Oilers weren't really getting much around Joseph Woll, and there are people blaming Skinner. And I say some of that is just pure puck luck, and he didn't have any on that particular goal.
Some of it is, although I didn't think Skinner was. I gave him a 5. I didn't think he
Mhm.
was particularly bad, but I didn't think he was particularly good. He was just
Well,
average.
they needed him to be Ken Dryden in the first period. You know how Montreal used to come out and they'd kind of be skating in sand for about 10 minutes, and the other guys would get 2 or 3 glorious chances, and Dryden would shut them down, and then the Habs would gear it up, and that would be that. And they need him to be big right out of the gate because the team as a whole, unfortunately, goalie and all, are developing a very nasty habit of digging a huge hole for themselves. You know, David, this is the fourth time in 12 games the Oilers have trailed 3-0 in the first period. Fourth time in 12 games. And they fought back and they made every one of them a game, and they won one and they lost three. And that's probably one more win than you'd expect mathematically from a 3-goal deficit. But, you know, and the other times they came like real close. And, you know, quit digging such a deep hole, guys. Like, holy shit. 3-0 before the first period is over?
Yeah, the only one I didn't like from Skinner, like there was an outs shot from the dot from Matthews on the power play from a
Mm-hmm.
sharp angle, and he did give up a pretty big rebound on that. You know, you prefer not to see that, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he was at fault on the other 2 goals. They were. There was a Californian hit someone in front of the net, bounces and gets put in. I mean, that's not his fault. The first goal was through a heavy screen. I mean, these are tough plays to make
Mm-hmm.
for any goalie. Bruce, what is your bad thing?
Yeah, I got to, I guess, I mean, I already kind of gave one with the start of the game and so on, but I'm going to single out special teams, which unfortunately is also part of the game, the first part of the game, because all 4 power plays in this game occurred in its first 25 minutes.
Yeah,
And Toronto got 2 power plays and capitalized on both to expand their 1-0 lead to 3-0. And each of the power plays happened when an Oilers forward, Nugent Hopkins in the first case, Bob Colson in the second, had the puck, possession of the puck deep in Toronto territory, tried to pass back, turned it over, hustled back to try and make amends for their mistake, only to magnify and exacerbate it by taking a penalty on the
yeah,
back check. And so the forwards wound up in the box. So the guys that wound up in the box, both of them had the puck and deep in Toronto territory before their penalty, but they couldn't manage the puck. And then the penalty kill couldn't manage the Toronto power play at all. I mean, second one, I guess they got to the second unit, but then they popped it in, and so failed for the penalty kill. And then Oilers got 2 sort of uh, equalizing power play opportunities of their own, and they just had to score on one of those 2 power plays, and they just couldn't. They got 10 shots, but they just couldn't make any shots. Just couldn't get her done.
yeah.
And some, I mean, for all those shots, a little guilty of overpassing at times, and
Leon whiffed on one of
a
them.
couple of lost puck battles, and the puck went out. You know, and it's I mean, the process wasn't all bad, but the outcome was as bad as it gets. Just like last game's shootout, you know, over in 2 rounds because you can't get a goal or a save. But, you know, and this was the penalty kill in the power play in this game. They couldn't get a stop, and they couldn't get a goal. And the Oilers actually won this game at even strength, 3-2.
Indeed. Bruce, my bad thing, I'm just going to have to say it's actually John Klingberg. Because I do think he needed to be sure he was onside on that zone entry with, just under 2.5 minutes left. And he wasn't. And because of it, an absolutely fantastic tying goal by Leon Draisaitl was called back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a brilliant goal, just a beautiful, McDavid cross seam, the executioner shot, bam in the net,
Right in the top corner.
4-4. What a play, what a goal, what a
Yeah.
moment. Coming back against the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're heading in overtime then.
The
Man, that was
score
like
was 4-1.
they've been down 4-1. Just fantastic, Bruce. It was just
Yeah.
such a fantastic comeback. and it's a tough play for Klingberg on one level because McDavid did, they say never make a move at the blue line because you throw your teammates offside. That's kind of one of the old truisms of hockey. Well, McDavid did make a move at the blue line, but he was forced into the move by a Toronto checker. And keep an eye on your teammate. So when he does make a move at the blue and when he has to, you don't go offside. And he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to go offside.
He had nothing to do with play at any point after, did he?
Yeah. No,
did
he
it
did
ever
not.
go through him
I
after
don't know.
that?
I don't know. Like he in some ways he had a terrible glitch to start the game, Klingberg. He looked covered in rust as Nylander broke his ankles. Like it just was brutal and came in on a breakaway and almost scored in the first couple of minutes there.
Made that save.
He sure did. But Klingberg looked good after that. I thought he looked much better than his second game, and he was passing the puck well. He was defending okay. I didn't have much to, he would have been a 5. I would have given him a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I think, based on his play overall in the game, looked like he was moving the puck well. But man, that play, man, and listen, of all the people in Edmonton who feel like crap tonight about that play, I mean, John Klingberg obviously feels terrible. Yeah. And it was a mental mistake. It was a mental error, and it was a very costly one. So
point and a half,
Yeah, you learn, I guess. You have to, it's just like one of those things. And I'm starting to think he's going to work out as the second pairing guy, just based on his agility on the ice and the passing that I'm seeing. Once he gets his reads down, he's been off for more than a year. His reads in his first game were atrocious. In this game, they were significantly better, with a few exceptions. That was the biggest exception in it, and it cost the Oilers. So I don't have much more to say about it. It was really frustrating as hell. I couldn't believe it. But Bruce, the Oilers prided themselves on those kind of calls, like offside calls to call off Edmonton other teams' goals in previous years. We were like we've named the Oilers video judge the good thing in some games because he's done such a good job. This is the rule in the NHL. I wish they would get rid of that. I really want them to get rid of that rule, Bruce. They never will, but they should get rid of that rule
because I know people hate it and they love controversy. Instead of having a game between two exciting teams going to overtime because the best scorer in the league is scored off a great pass from the best passer in the league, let's call some guy for being a millimeter offside 25 seconds before that, because that's so much more exciting to have the referees looking at a tablet and coming back and say, well, on further review. And then right after that, it's okay to sort of send McDavid careening into the end boards because that's a judgment call. No video review for that. And the double standard, we have video reviews for like 2 things, and one of them is nowhere near the net. And everything else is, well, we trust our referee's judgment. We don't trust our linesman's judgment. But
Did you call it a millimeter? I love it. Is there such a thing as a millimeter?
In my lingo, there certainly is.
I love that. I've been
using that term for a while.
If I didn't have a good thing, that would have been my good thing for tonight, the millimeter. Bruce, that it's a classic example of technology driving enforcement. If you didn't have
exactly,
and because like you can't have that kind of call on every penalty.
But of course not. Well, trust your linesman. They call simultaneity, and it's simultaneous to them. It's a good play,
You could have that on every penalty. You could say, we're going to review every time the players hit each other. We're going to stop the game and we're going to look at the video camera. It's as ridiculous as that to do it on that play, because every single play could have every time there's a collision on the ice, you could have an infraction. So why don't you review all of those too, you jackasses? Like just drop your fixation with enforcement technology. Get rid of it. Axe it. And it's another reason I'm going to be glad when Gary Bettman is gone. Now, I don't think the new guy will change it.
It's controversial, and it's cutting edge. All the other leagues have got video challenges, so we got to have something. What can we choose? Oh, let's do offside so we can subtract goals from the game. Last time I saw a goal that was added to the board after an offside challenge was never, because it's actually impossible. All they can do is take goals away. Let's choose that one.
You know,
People will love it.
I tuned in. I used to be a huge NBA fan. I haven't watched in recent years. And I tuned into a game a few years ago, and there was all of this video review that hadn't been there before. And it just made me like, if they were hoping to win me back as a fan,
Yeah.
that was exactly the wrong thing. I don't want to see that. It's just so annoying as a fan. And it's the same in soccer with the constant, like, just screw it all. I'm so sick of it.
Trust your
All of this
officials. I
video
mean,
review, it
you
hasn't made
trust them
things
for everything
better. It's
else.
made things worse.
Mhm.
And
There's one sport, David, exactly one sport that got video uh, challenge perfect. That's tennis.
oh yeah.
And what they do in tennis is they have a line judge thing. They let their line judges make the call, and each player has 3 times a set where they can put their hand up and say, I want to review that call. And they look at it, and it takes about 10 seconds, and you see right on your screen a great big monitor of where the ball struck relative to the line. And then the official makes the call, and they carry on. And it doesn't take any time, and they always get it right. It's a takeaway. So, but that, it's obviously a very different sport, but they got video challenge right. But all these other sports where you got, all these moving parts, 12 players on the ice or 22 on the football field or 24, depending on which side of the border you're on. And, there's a lot of complexity. And to try, anyway,
You
it's,
know where the only
I've
place in
lost this argument for 25 years. I'm never going to
well,
win it, but
okay.
I'm
The
so
the
sick of
only
it.
time, and let's see if we agree on this. The only time I like it, there's one situation I like it in hockey. Did the puck cross the line or not? I
Yeah,
actually like
yeah, okay.
I like that. Like, I think that's okay. Did the puck cross the line? I think that's
I still
important
got it
enough.
wrong.
But it's important enough for me.
Well,
That's
yeah,
worth having. But did he interfere with the goalie going to video review? I don't want to see it. Don't do it. Just
yeah.
just call the game, and we'll live with their I'm happy to live with their mistakes. Just think if that was a Stanley Cup winning goal that Leon Draisaitl scored, and it had been
Mhm.
called back on a ticky-tack BS nothing play by another player who had nothing to do with the play.
I can
How
imagine.
how disheartening would that be for a fan base? Anyway,
Worst I
it,
ever saw was at the Women's World Championship, the one they had in Finland, in overtime, when Finland scored the apparent tournament winning gold medal goal to beat the USA in the
wow.
final. And it was a rebound play. The goalie dived out at the puck. The Finnish player went for the puck. The goalie sort of dived into the knee pads of the player, but she actually initiated the contact. The goalie did. And the Finnish players scored. The gloves, the helmets, the crowd's going wild. The whole place is on the rocks. And about 25 minutes later, they look at the replay and then they get it wrong and they call it off as a no goal. Like, that's the most outrageous thing of all, is when they get it right on the ice, overrule it, and make it wrong. And that's, when that happens, my sense of justice, it just goes right through the roof. And of course, USA scored after that. And what could have been one of the great moments in the history of women's hockey, the first time a European team won the gold medal, still never happened because those guys screwed up that situation so badly. And if I was a Finnish hockey fan who'd gone through that, I mean, just imagine how happy you were, Oilers fans, tonight when Leon scored. Multiply that by 50, because they just won the world championship. Oh, no, they didn't. We've got technology that says that they didn't.
I
Call
hear
it
you, Bruce.
progress.
I hear you. We're too old.
They call it progress.
Maybe people don't even care. Maybe it's just us. I don't know.
Well,
I think I hate it. I'm
just
starting
keep
to.
it, yeah.
I'm gonna have to learn to hate it when the call goes for the Oilers too. Like,
I hate the offside challenge
yeah, I
too.
would just
I
rather.
mean,
It's
you
just,
have to play by the rules, and you have to make your challenges when you think you're in the
yeah,
right. But I don't think it benefits the game at all.
yeah,
And I think it detracts from the game, and it detracted from this game.
yeah. All right. Bruce, your number.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 5.26, I think it is, percent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shooting percentage of Edmonton Oilers snipers in the last two games that they lost to Detroit and Toronto. 2 goals on 47 shots against Alex Lyon on Thursday night. And then that's not counting the 0 for 2 in the shootout. And then 3 goals and 48 shots on Joseph Wall tonight. So 5 goals out of 95 shots for the Oilers snipers. And I'm throwing this out there as a sort of a little bit of a counterbalance to people that are pointing to save percentage of the goaltender as being the only deciding factor. Well, hockey is decided by percentages often at both ends of the ice. The numbers are combined for shooting percentage, save percentage into a thing called PDO, and the team with the better PDO wins almost all games. And in this game, the Oilers had more shots. Last game, the Oilers had more shots, but they couldn't make any shots. I mean, 5.2%, that's not good. And you should be generating more goals from the number of opportunities that Oilers have been generating. Expected goals.
Who are the snipers by your definition?
5.3 for the Oilers. Well,
McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman?
Well, tonight, McDavid and Draisaitl had 0 goals each on a combined total of 15 shots.
So are you adding up all the Oilers on this? Or just the top?
Yeah, no,
just
this
the
is
snipers?
all
shooters.
I'm saying
you said snipers, so I thought you were counting
sardonically that this is supposed to be this highly gifted finishing team, and they got 5 goals on 95 shots, and they came out on the short end of 2 hockey games. And some people are saying they didn't get the saves, and I'm saying, well, they didn't get the shots either, right? It's a two-way street. And you can say Joseph Wall is the best goalie since Alex Lyon. I was going to say Dominic Hasek, but yeah. Anyway, you get my point. Like they got to finish better, and it's just not there right now. And you can say what you will about how much better the other team's goalie is, or you can say, well, maybe the other team's shooters were better than Edmonton's shooters.
Yeah.
So it's
their puck luck was better.
Yeah.
The puck bounces in front of the net in the right way, and you score. It's so often that.
Well, the Marner really goal in particular, but also the Nyes goal, where
the Nyes goal as well hits a Toronto player and goes right to Nyes, and he's got inside position on Connor Brown, so he's able to tuck it, and Skinner can't see any of it.
The rebound goes one side, and it catches the shaft or hosel of Nyes' stick and bounces to the other side, and Skinner is moving to the right where the puck is going. All of a sudden, Nyes is tucking around him on the other side.
Oh, is that what happened?
You can, again, feel free to blame the goalie, but sometimes it's just the way the old puck bounces. And
my number,
they haven't gotten them.
They have not. My number is 1. Mm-hmm. One great reverse hit, and 1 second left in the game. First, Draisaitl's reverse hit on Simon Benoit in the first period was absolutely outstanding in its brutality. Man, did he ever pop that guy, knocked him right off his feet. Benoit's a pretty good defenseman. But Draisaitl really, Leon Draisaitl's puck protection is a thing of beauty. There's no one in the NHL. Is there anyone who protects the puck right now better than Draisaitl?
No.
I haven't seen it.
No.
He's just a beast with the puck.
He just turns his back on him, just hits him with his backside, and down they go. In this case, Leon himself went down. I had a hard look at the replay. I didn't think it was deliberate, unlike Rantanen, what Rantanen did to Draisaitl in Colorado. But a similar kind of play where Wall's sort of 2 legs wrapped around Draisaitl's 1 leg, and then Leon had this sort of delayed reaction where he went down too. And it wasn't like the hit was so hard that he lost his balance and fell. It was more that he got his leg wrapped up and went down. But because he absolutely rocked Benoit, that was Draisaitl's hit all the way. I wonder if they credited it. They don't like to credit guys with the puck with hits.
He
But
got
I
2
think they
hits,
should.
so he might have. I
Oh
didn't see
yeah,
if it was on.
okay. I think
I
they
didn't see if
should
it
for
was
sure.
on the play-by-play. And the 1 second left play by Perry. I don't. It was such a fantastic play. Connor McDavid went into the corner. The Oilers were buzzing. McDavid goes in the corner, and he just muscled that Toronto Maple Leaf off the puck and whipped a brilliant backhand cross-seam pass to Draisaitl. Now what did Leon? Did he shoot and then it go to Bouchard? I can't remember if he
Leon
passed it.
passed it. Leon
Passed it
pulled
to
up and
Bouchard.
passed it to Bouchard for the
Yeah,
one
Bouchard
time.
whips it at net on the shot, and it almost scores. It was. We might have to recount that as a grade A shot on it. I didn't, but I think the defenseman stopped it. Anyway, it goes to Corey Perry, who makes a great move to score, and Wall did make a Dominic Hasek-like save. It's unknown if there would have been enough time for that to count if it went in, but it was just a fantastic attacking sequence with in the dying seconds of the game, and very exciting. So,
David, I mean, we don't have to be happy with the result of this game, but if you don't like the excitement at the end of this game, you don't like hockey. Like
it was
that,
pretty
it
good.
had everything. I mean, you even had a tying goal. I'll go there. But after the tying goal that wasn't, there was a goal post. There was all this pressure and plays under high duress with the clock winding down. Are they not going to? And it was, been literally in doubt to the last 0.1 second of this game. It was a thrilling finish.
It really
So
was.
I'm sure my brother enjoyed it, although I bet you he didn't. He was a little nervous before the goalie interference call. So
Your brother's here visiting from
he's here,
Newfoundland.
yeah, a Toronto fan, and 3 or 4 of them went down to the game wearing their Leafs attire. We don't have to like it, but one of the things I like about hockey, a lot of people like making enemies in other teams' camps. I like sharing the love of hockey with fans of other teams. And whether I'm rooting for them or not, some of our experiences are common, right? Of rooting for a team, the shit that happens
Yes.
against your team, and the good moments that happen for your team, and in this case, there's a familial connection. I'm not going to go on I'm going to go pick him up here in a bit. I'm not going to rip into him because his team happened to win. I say, exciting game, and I'm not going to say the better team won either. I'm just going to say exciting game.
Yeah, Bruce. Hockey is fiercely tribal, but it's supposed to be fun tribal.
Yeah.
It's supposed
absolutely.
to be like kind of the fun part of it, and it generally
Sure.
is, unless you're dealing with Canucks fans.
Vancouver is involved. Yeah, God.
All right. Yeah,
anyway.
that's just a whole different level of numbnuttedness. All right, Bruce. Bruce, we're going to finish off with just one quick discussion.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL's salary cap is going up, and it's going up unexpectedly and dramatically in the next 3 years, which is massively important to the Edmonton Oilers, because they're one of the teams that is pressed up to the cap, and it's just going to get worse as Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard sign new contracts. So it's going to go up to 95.5 million next year from 88.5. And then the year after that, 104 million. And then the year after that, 113.5 million. This is absolutely huge news for the Edmonton Oilers. I'll spell it out quickly. If you look at the history of Stanley Cup winners in the salary cap era and how much they pay their top 4 players, Bruce, on average, the Stanley Cup winning teams have paid 40% of the cap, let's say 40.4% of the cap to their top 4 players. Only 3 teams since 2005-06 have paid their top 4 players more than 45% of the cap. Only 3 teams have done that and won. Detroit and Anaheim early on, and then Pittsburgh, I think, in 2016.
Anaheim, yeah.
So it's just really difficult if you have these high-end, highly paid players at the top of your lineup, and you're paying them more than 45% of the cap combined. It's tough to win. The last 3 Stanley Cup winners, Colorado played its top 4 players 39% of the cap. Vegas paid their top four 42% of the cap, and Florida paid their top four 44% of the cap. So last year, Bruce, the Oilers paid their top four 43% of the cap, which is well within the range of teams that win the Stanley Cup.
Right.
This year, they're paying their top four 41% of the cap. It represents an incredible opportunity for the Oilers, mainly because Leon Draisaitl is so underpaid this year, as is arguably Connor McDavid is underpaid this year. So Draisaitl starts his new contract next year. Bouchard will get a new contract for next year. And if it's in the $10 million range, which has been talked about, the Oilers, even with this huge increase in the cap, Bruce, the next 2 years, they're going to be paying about 47% of the cap, which is the trouble zone, which is hard to win the cup in those 2006 and 2007 seasons, paying 47% of the cap to their top four players, but possible. It's going to be interesting for the Oilers. But if it hadn't gone up the way it did, they would have been paying 50% of the cap or more to their top four, Bruce. So this frees up millions of dollars. I'm hoping for two-way players who can hold their own when the star players are on the ice. And in the 2008 season, the Oilers are back to paying, even with let's say McDavid gets a $16 million contract, Bouchard 10, 43% of the cap will go to the top four. Now, it could be with the huge rise in the cap, the players like McDavid and Bouchard will ask for more money, which will be a problem for the Oilers. They have got to. I hope everyone's aware of these numbers in the Oilers organization and the McDavid camp, Bouchard camp, and no one gets too greedy. If things get out of whack, Bruce, they're not going to have enough money to sign Evan Bouchard for $10 million. I mean, that's the obvious move for the Oilers. If it starts to get too out of whack with demands, is they will go for a cheaper guy running the power play and try to get by without as elite as he is Bouchard. I'm hoping everyone just stays on target. No one gets too greedy, and they can sign both of these great players and keep the cap closer to that 45% mark in 2006, 2007, and then go below it in 2008, 2028.
Because it goes up a combined 25 million in the next 3 years, something like that.
Well, from 88 to 113. Yeah. Is that 10? Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of money.
So the players negotiating long-term contracts know that the cap's going to go up and up. And if I'm their agent, if I'm McDavid's agent, for example, my asking price just went up because, in 3 years, we already know that the cap's going to be way up there. And so if I was going to ask for 16, maybe I'm asking for 18 now. And of course, I'm not McDavid's agent. I have no idea what he's going to do. But, I think it changes the equation for negotiations. Who does get caught out are players who've already signed long-term contracts. And of course, they don't get caught out in the sense they're going to get paid for a lot of money for a lot of years. But Leon Draisaitl, for example, had he waited till the end of the season to negotiate rather than signing last September, there'd be more cap space to negotiate with, not to mention the brilliant season that he would be negotiating as a platform season. So that contract's already looking at like it might be as big a bargain as his first contract, which is to say a massive bargain. Draisaitl's, but Bouchard, he's got his heart set on a figure, and it's say 10 million. There's more cap space to accommodate that now, and the 10 million isn't going to put him up against the wall the way it would be if the cap just stayed frozen like it did during COVID, or was just creeping up by a little tiny bit year over year. It's going up, and it's going to leave all the teams a little more room to sign their top stars. What it means to me, nature abhors a vacuum, and so do hockey agents. They're going to be asking for more, and free agents are going to be getting more because more teams are going to have more cap space and they're going to want to spend it, and they will. So I think a lot of it's going to come out in the wash. But it does sort of alleviate some short-term pressure. And what it does do is it gives a little bit more value to the guys that are locked in long-term, like, well, Draisaitl now, Nurse, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, all those contracts as a percentage cap are going to come down significantly in the
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 years to come, and the years after that. That those guys will be taking a little smaller fraction of the whole pie. Because the pie just got bigger.
Yeah, there was a rumor about Mikko Rantanen signing here this summer. Suddenly, it doesn't seem like as crazy talk as it did a week ago. But Bruce, so McDavid has a choice, right? Like he's well aware of all these players know this cap information and what it means. So they can, yeah, maybe they can. It'll be interesting to see what he does because if you take more, your team has less chance of winning the Stanley Cup. You have less money to bring in important role players. It's as simple as that. So he's well aware of that, and he commented on it last summer. How I think he was speaking positively how people took haircuts in their salary to re-sign with Edmonton. He will do that, and it's just he will do that. It certainly makes it a lot more easier for the Oilers to pay him 16 and Bouchard 10. Again, before if they paid 16 and 10,
those
which was the
figures
rumor,
are looking pretty reasonable at this moment.
it would have been
they
50
didn't before.
Yeah, it would have been 50% of the cap for 4 players. That would have been really difficult. Now it makes it that much easier if it's not that much. If the cap's going up. So we'll see what happens. I just say huge, positive, excellent news for the Edmonton Oilers. Exactly what this team needed in the coming years to compete for the Stanley Cup. And now we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, a lot of teams, of course, could make a similar argument, but not many come from the starting point that Oilers do. What I'm wondering is, with this huge cap increase, if they're actually going to increase the NHL minimum.
They are.
Lift that up a little. Are they? Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I didn't see any details. Was it a decent, like, to me, 1 million would strike me as a pretty reasonable minimum to get to when they're paying that much more.
Oh, the minimum salary.
Minimum
I don't know
salary.
No, I don't know.
Are they still going to treat the peons like peons?
The peons. No, the minimum. I thought you meant the minimum for teams. Yeah, they've increased the minimums for teams.
Oh, yeah. No. The floor will be surely going up because it's a percentage of the ceiling. But
talk about
bottom players, if they'll get a little bit of a boost from it. Or all of the money goes to the top players.
I don't know, and I don't have an opinion on it. It's up for the players to decide. Bruce, it's there is talk that there'll be fewer teams paying the maximum amount, although I don't understand that talk. This is all based on league revenues. So unless there's a huge discrepancy between a growing discrepancy between what the top teams are making and what the bottom teams are making, but there's also massive revenue sharing in the NHL right now. So I'm not sure about that argument that there's going to be fewer teams paying to the top of the cap. We'll see if that happens or not. I mean, Daryl Cates has made an absolute boatload of money. Bruce, did you know? I'm going to give you some final set of numbers from me. The entry fee for the Edmonton Oilers, franchise fee for the Edmonton Oilers in 1972 to join the WHA, $25,000. When Peter Pocklington joined the NHL, Bruce, the entry fee to join the NHL, $6 million.
7 years later.
The Edmonton Oilers are now worth $2.5 billion American, which is $88 billion.
This is, of course, the other thing. We're talking about salary cap 2 and 3 years from now, and neither one of us knows what the economy is going to look like in a month.
In a week.
So, so the whole house of cards. I have some serious reservations that don't belong on this podcast, other than to say, let's talk about it in theory and let's
see what happens. Indeed. Bruce?
Yeah, one last little point. Ty Emerson played his 80th game tonight, NHL game. 50 this year. He was press box twice early in the year, but now he's played like 40 straight. And with those 50 and the 30 he played in San Jose last year, he has now removed himself in a good way from qualifying as a Group 6 free agent, which is a 25-year-old player who hasn't played as many as 80 NHL games, and then they can come an unrestricted free agent. That's how
Yeah.
Oilers lost guys like Jordan Osterley and Laurent Brossoit, players in the past. Well, Ty Emerson, he will be a restricted free agent with the Oilers, which means that there's no sort of escape hatch. Not that I think he'll be looking for one. I think they'll want to sign this player, and when they do, I would suggest both parties burn the tape of tonight's game, which was not his finest hour.
I gave him a failing grade. Yeah, he
I
wasn't.
had to.
Yeah, he wasn't that good. All right, Bruce, let's leave it there. Thank you for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.